Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in once again to the Duval Dive. Folks, I'm happy to tell you something. We finally got through all the mailbag Wait, what? There's still, okay, so there's still a couple more, but we're going to get through them in this episode. This is when we keep saying, matter of fact, I'll bring him on to help me pay you guys tribute, personal champion, Travis D. Holmes, Big Cat Country. When we say you guys gave us a butt ton of questions, it took us a month essentially to get through all of your questions. This is why you guys are awesome. And
We're not
man,
worthy.
champion, yeah. It's the only reason we have any worth is because of you guys helping us out with stuff like this and jumping in the comments and saying all the stuff that you do. And support, man. I can't show you more appreciation than I am right now, man. So yeah, grab
Yeah,
that
man,
question, Travis.
we are not worthy. Like that is just ridiculous how many questions we got. And I mean, not just like throwaway questions, like legitimately good questions. So again, we appreciate you guys. We appreciate you, ball knowers. Keep it coming, man. Every time we ask, you guys provide, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, man, the Duval divers know how to take it deep. That's what it is, bro. So, anyways, without any
Pause.
further ado, hey, you didn't have to make it like that. Listen, it was an entendre. Let the people have fun, man. Come on. Anyways, let's get these questions, man. Poor Travis, he's beside himself.
Shout out, Radius Johansson. On Blue Sky, I believe this is where this comment comes from.
I mean, this guy is everywhere. I don't mind you being. I have to shout him out real quick because not only is he regularly on our Duval Dive YouTube channel comments, not only is he talking to you on Blue Sky. Has he hit you on the Discord yet? I don't know, but I know he even commented on one of my Fans First Sports Network articles. This dude is everywhere. Radius, shouts to you. Okay, do the thing, Travis.
Shout out, man. Yeah, what do you make of James Gladstone intriguing post-draft comments? What do they tell you about the change in strategy we'll see in the Jaguars roster construction? Now, when he originally sent this question, I did have to circle back and kind of ask him, like, which post-draft comments are you referring to? Like, are you talking about at the draft? Are you talking about, his stop on one of the media outlets? And he basically stated that, yeah, exactly. Gladstone's been out there and saying a lot in all the places, but he was referencing specifically the Ozone podcast stop for James Gladstone, where he kind of discussed all the stuff beyond the on-field play that make you want to bring a guy into the building, kind of having the right feeling when you hit send to send the pick in. So a lot of the intangibles, I mean, that Gladstone kind of discusses being primary, if somebody's intangibly rich, then how that may make them rise up the draft board. And do we think that that's going to change how people are being brought into this organization moving forward? I think that's an obvious yes, in my personal opinion. I mean, they've kind of shown us this is what they believe in. They've leaned into it heavily. And even after the draft, when discussing Travis Hunter, you can say what you want to say about his on-field play, but discussing the man off the field is not even arguable. He is intangibly rich. He is that is what they're looking for. It's not to say we're going to give a guy who can't throw a football a starting quarterback spot, and we're not going to draft that guy. It's just to say the guy has to be good on the field, but also he's going to have to be a good guy to bring into our locker room, because we're not just building a football team, we're also rebuilding a culture that seemed to have been lost at various aspects over the last few years.
Yeah, I think culture is the great way to put it. Well, and I want to see how the question's worded real quick before I answer this. See, what do you make of James Gladstone's intriguing post-draft comments? He didn't talk about hand size, okay? How about that for 30 seconds? Can we cite that? This guy actually made a move that actually showed a bit of cojones. Jimmy Stones, shouts to Casey, Barking Browns, all of the above. With not just from Gladstone, but from every member of the new front office that are doing it all for the first time. I think this is what will make culture change happen, is just there's a completely different thought process. And Radius asks about offensive scheme and things like that, and we'll get into it. But I don't think that's the biggest deal here. Let's say every single solitary pick the Jags made flops. The Jags are still doing better because the healing has begun without the bulky regime in the building, Travis. That's I think that can't be lost. And we'll get more into how I feel about that later too. There'll be other stuff we'll be talking about there. But Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at. Is this is a guy who he may be young, where for an organization that's had a lot of just to put it bluntly, older guys in it. I mean, I'm a Tom Coughlin dude. I've always loved him. He was in there when he was of older age. Trent Baalke just felt old and kind of his approach to certain things. No, Gladstone's a
Hey,
flesh.
yeah, hey, ain't no shame in feeling and being old, man. Some of us got old knees. I understand. Yeah, 80s baby shout out. But I'm just saying, feeling old and
Being
being old
experienced.
are different.
Exactly. Being experienced is different than being old. And listen, man, I'm a whole line. I got joint stuff too, but you know what? My hair's still gorgeous. You like how I look, baby. So there you go.
Oh wow. All right, Cat Williams. I hear you, bro.
And it was delicious. Don't get me started up in
uh,
this.
so at the end of all of it, yeah, I fully understand that I mean, the fact of the matter is the NFL, young talent is also cheap talent. So you want cheap talent to also be in the building and kind of rebuilding your organization moving forward in your first year, but also you want to revamp and reset that culture so you don't have to worry about you know, guys practice habits or what they're doing off the field, or all the you want guys who are all ball. And at the end of it, isn't that like the difference between the NFL greats and the NFL, very goods? Like I would argue that there are a lot of guys who probably could have been as good maybe as Jordan if they worked a little bit harder, or maybe had a similar skill set, but you don't even know their name because they just didn't have that drive, or Kobe or Tom Brady, even like all these
Yeah.
guys who that's all they did. So I'm okay with you saying, hey, I want the guys who are best, but if they're even remotely similar, I want that guy who got that dog in him, who just don't he eats and breathes this all day. Man, yeah, I'm okay with that.
It's
And
the
I think
good to
most
great
people should be.
conversation. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
the
man.
good to
Yes,
great
sir.
conversation. It's that Ray Lewis who comes up to you, who's already great, makes a play, and asks you, "Hey, what can I do better?" It's that
Mm.
dude that strives every time. Like, listen, you, Travis C. Holmes, are a ball knower. You scout better than me. You do, and you'll still come up to me after the show and be like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" The constant quest to get better, even when you're already pretty damn good, is how you get to great. And I think that's exactly your that's what I think you're expressing when you talk
Yeah.
about what Jimmy Stones is looking for when he's getting intangibly rich. You know,
Yeah, I think that just feels like what it is. So, again, shout out Radius, shout out Radius. We appreciate the question, man. And the last question in the mail bag that we wanted to kind of just knock this bad boy out is Cohen Stan from the Jaguars. I mean, I believe this was Discord, but it looks like Twitter.
I know
Yeah,
that's Discord. Yeah,
that is Discord. Okay, cool.
yeah.
Cohen Stan from the Jaguars Discord. Does this new coaching staff have plans to correct Trevor's body language after handoffs on running plays? Almost every time he hands the ball off, he turns around and stares at the running backs. That makes it obvious to any defender paying attention that it's a run play and not a fake handoff. I would love to see Trevor at least act like he still has the ball for another second or two to give the running back a slight advantage. This is a question that I wasn't 100% sure how to approach. I wasn't even 100% sure whether or not to answer it.
So,
But
well,
it was one of those things where, honestly, I discussed it with Nash off. When we first got the question, I noticed it. It was a small thing. It wasn't something of significance that I would say like, "Hey, man, this is big thing where it's got to be talked about." But also, yeah, it is a thing that happens. That I think you want to be able to sell that bootleg. You want to be able to sell that, the fact that Trevor Lawrence is an athletic quarterback who's able to kind of extend plays with his legs, a lot like Baker Mayfield. And if I think if us regular people can notice it, us regular fans, us regular media people, even former ball players can notice it, then now obviously NFL guys do too. You want to hold that backside in just a little bit longer instead of allowing him to crash down in your running back. So if that does help you on those, under center bootleg plays, then absolutely. I think it's a small coaching point, and I'd be pretty sure that anybody watching film in that coaching staff or in the Miller Electric Center is probably kind of saying that same thing. Hey, maybe just hold this a little bit longer. I think that's a fair assessment. But what do you think, sir?
First of all, I feel like the question's kind of asking us to read the coach's mind a bit. We're not going to be able to do that. But I'll say this. I feel like this new regime will do more to make Trevor coachable into that, simply because
Yeah.
what's the point of holding on and acting like you're holding the ball longer when everybody knows you're not going to do play action. Or even if you do, it doesn't matter because we're still going to crush you up front. So, I can't tell you. And by the way, I don't know what state Trevor was in when the observation was made. Is this something that he does healthy versus injured more often, or worse or better? I don't have any of that necessarily, but I feel like there's so many things that go into that. That being said, of course, you'd like to see it cleaned up. And if there's a time to do it, it would be now when Trevor's returning from injury, kind of relearning everything in general. Anyway, I think it's a good time to introduce it, especially as you're also a new coaching staff with new life blood, so to speak, in the organization. So yeah, I think that kind of
and this is the staff that's already talked about, correcting his feet issues as far as the timing and those things are concerned. I talked to Trevor Lawrence about that at the OTA's day number 1. He said he knew there were some things that he needed to clean up, and he's felt great with his progress in getting those things done. He's like, it's never something that's always going to be fully done. You're never going to be done learning or done maturing and getting those things right. It's just something you're going to continually have to work on. If you see that coaching staff doing that with them, you have to assume that they're doing all the small things that's kind of associated with getting that footwork and getting those selling of the run game items kind of cleaned up. So yeah, I'm here for all of those things when you're doing your tape review. That's kind of what the off season's for. So be patient, and we'll see if it looks different in the preseason, in mandatory camp, and all of those stops.
Hey, hit us up with another question in the future, Cohen Stan. Let us know how you think it progresses once we start seeing football in September and beyond. Yeah. Maybe they'll have fixed it. That'll be fascinating. Trav's already excited. Let's go. I like that. While we've concluded with the mailbag questions, there was something I wanted to bring to Travis specifically, and I recorded last night with the Barking Browns podcast. Not only did they want to ask me questions about Dylan Gabriel as somebody who covers the UCF Knights with the Black and Gold Banneret and Night Shift podcast, but they also wanted some point of view from somebody in the Jags sphere regarding the Travis Hunter trade. And the way that Jake of Barking Browns put the question isn't perfect, and Travis is going to correct me with elements of the trade, and he even had mentioned there too, like he didn't want to go to all the rigmarole of the different picks and all this other stuff. But he essentially asked me, hey, do you think Travis Hunter is worth Judkins, who the kid out of Ohio State that they drafted eventually with one of the picks, and Mason Graham, as well as a first rounder in 26? He said he didn't think so, and he's allowed. But what do you make of that, Travis? And I know you're going to clarify some things first. That's cool.
That's the thing. I gotta make sure I clarify what it is. So obviously the Travis Hunter trade wasn't just Travis Hunter for those those 3 guys in that 4th pick. It wasn't Travis Hunter versus Mason Graham, Quinshon Jenkins, and Dylan Sampson, and then a Jacksonville Jaguars 2026 first round draft pick. It was Travis Hunter, Bashaw Tutin, and Rayon Lane for those 4 individuals. So yes, is this trade worth it? If you're just talking Travis Hunter for those 4 guys, possibly, maybe not.
The fact that we even get that close should tell you how intangibly rich this trade is. Because from the Browns' perspective as well, they need that first round pick more than the Jags do, because the Jags at least have their franchise quarterback who isn't in a precarious health and moral situation. So yeah.
Yes. So that's where this thing becomes a little bit of an interesting conversation. Like, we don't know. Like, yeah, Travis Hunter could potentially be worth all 4 of those guys simply by himself. And that's not hyperbole. That's not me trying to be crazy and make these wild takes. We all know it's subjectively possible. If he becomes a number 1 receiver, just a good number 1 receiver, and I'm not talking top 3 guy. I'm just saying, like, if he's a top 10, top 15 receiver in the NFL, I don't think there are very many Jacksonville Jaguar fans that look back on it and be like, yeah, we missed out on something. I don't see that. And that's not even counting the Bashaw Tutin.
Yeah, I was going to say, if he's top 20 at both positions, if he plays at the volume Lee and Cohen would have us believe, certainly he's worth all those dudes, right?
Right. And I don't see that being some crazy take. So yes, from a Browns perspective, you may say that, hey, I think this is a good trade for the Browns, or, because it depends on what that 2026 first round draft pick becomes. But if the Jacksonville Jaguars win 8 games, and I'm not saying that, I feel like that is probably the floor for this Jacksonville Jaguars team in 2026, personally. If you win 8 games, even then, that 2026 first round draft pick is like maybe pick 15? Like, that's not bad at all. Like, at that point, I still think Travis Hunter's worth it, unless something just insane happens where he doesn't fit at receiver for whatever reason and doesn't fit at corner. Like, I just can't foresee that happening. So, yeah, to cut to the chase, I think there's no world where Travis Hunter and the rest of that, those other 2 picks, Bashaw Tootin and Rayon Lane, are not worth those 4 individuals. I think it's a pretty fair trade across the board, and at its ceiling, I think the Jaguars easily win that trade, personally.
Well, and I don't think. Listen, I think this is a concept where both teams walk away win. Right. This is Clinton Portis and Champ Bailey all over again. Both sides benefited from that trade about equally. Now, granted, you can make the argument that Bailey was the better acquisition because his career lasted longer. But if we're getting into that nitty gritty, they both won. Okay. Period.
It's still close. Yeah.
So all of that to be said, I think the Browns and Jags both win here if everything reaches potential. And the nitty gritty will be whether all that happens. Because from the Browns' perspective, I think everybody here is in agreement, including the Casey and Jacob of the Barking Browns podcast, that the the Browns are going to have a pick high enough, worthy to be in the race to fight for or trade up for their future quarterback in this draft. Yes, I'm assuming Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders aren't their future starters. Maybe Sanders will crawl his way up. Who knows? I'm not even opening up that can. What I will say is they'll need that high pick, which they'll probably get from the performance next year, right? And they still need another first-round pick more than they need Travis Hunter right now to truly rebuild. Okay? That's the thing. That's the one potential knock on the Travis Hunter drafting, which I don't subscribe to, but the argument could be made that they don't have enough essential items to get frosting. Like we've said of the Raiders with Ashton Genty, for example. Right?
Yeah.
So
at the end of the day, the Browns have the Jaguars 2026 first round draft pick, and they have their own first round draft pick in 2026. So to your point, that gives them some ammunition to actually, like, if they end up being bad, cool. They're in a competition to possibly get one of these top quarterbacks in 2026, and we know what their draft situation with Deshaun Watson and everything else, that makes total sense for them, where both teams could walk out of this thing being winners because they've now revamped their organization with maybe not these top guys, but a lot of solid base hits, or a lot of good guys to kind of revamp their future of their organization. Like, that makes total sense. I'm not in disagreement with you there at all. And the Jaguars could have won because they have a lot of those. They have a lot of guys who are absolutely good. They're in the opposite of where Cleveland is. They have a lot of guys who are absolutely good, but not a lot of guys who are truly great. And I mean game-changing numbers. And you use Ashton Genty as the one example. Well, James Gladstone, if you per the Athletic, they had 2 guys who were number changers, what they called them, basically game changers in this draft. Ashton Genty was one of them. Right. Travis Hunter was the other one. Right. They now have one of those guys who they believe can be truly elite in their positions, whether it's wide receiver and cornerback. That can change the game, that can change the numbers as far as how the math works on the field. They go above the X's and O's. So in that way, the Jaguars win. They get more guys who bring the level up of this organization, the ceiling up of the organization. And the Browns win because they get more base hits. They kind of just revamp that structure and help get some cheap talent on the roster for 4 guys. So I'm okay. And
by the way, the Jags went on to address running back later anyway in a fashion that could still be an upgrade.
LeQuint Allen.
Oh, not even him too. I meant Bashaw Tootin, but yeah, both of them.
Yeah. So I'm here for it. So at the end of all of it, I understand why Browns fans have these questions. I mean, we talked about it on Wednesday's pod. How the Jags, the Browns fans might be a little tongue in cheek, a little angry with James Gladstone, or maybe they represent by calling him, James. What is it?
Jimmy Stones.
Jimmy Stones. There you go, Jimmy Stones, because they hate the fact that their organization did not get the high value talent that is the Travis Hunter. and they wish their organization would have done so. But at the end of the day, I think both organizations kind of did a smart move, like kind of what I just talked about. It is what it is. The floor is risen in Cleveland. The ceiling is risen in Jacksonville, and we'll just see over the next few years which one is the right move.
I like how you put that. Very well done. That's a good thing to wrap on. Travis D. Holmes, tell the world.
Yes. Can be found on all the socials, Travis D. Holmes, X, Blue Sky, Twitter, etc. Hey, man, follow us on TikTok also, man. We're getting that thing wrapped up. Finally, yeah. But most importantly, the Duval Dive on YouTube. Like and subscribe us, rate and review us on wherever you catch your podcast. Don't be a hater. But yes, in bigcatcountry.com, we're going to have you guys covered on all the pressers, all the our observations and reactions from anything that we see at the OTAs and mandatory minicamp. So keep it locked in there. And Duval, what can you be found, sir?
Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Check out my writings with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Orlando Magic on Fans First Sports Network, as well as my work covering the UCF Knights with the Black and Gold Banneret and the Night Shift podcast. Yeah, man, good stuff. Good luck at camp. And listen, well, more announcements coming, folks. That's all we can say. But until next time, everyone, class dismissed.